Hello, my name is Dr. Bruce Riley. I like to be called Dr. Bruce. Recently, I wrote a book entitled My Lover, My Friend. In one of those chapters, I talk about when lovers clash. Sometimes there are so many arguments that go on in a relationship that it never really has a chance to develop because there's so much conflict. I want to talk to you just for a few minutes about how to stop arguing. Okay? If this is useful to you, then you want to listen real carefully for the next few minutes. It's very important for us to realize that arguments take up an enormous amount of time, and it really steals the energy from your relationship. You need time to love, time to care, time to share, time to really enjoy the relationship that God intended for you to have. All right? And so I want you to understand that the mix is no doubt probably not correct in your relationship. I remember once I was doing some cleaning in my home, and my mother asked me to clean the bathroom. I saw some cleaning products, and I began working. I saw some bleach, and I saw some ammonia, and I thought I'd just mix them together and see what happens so I can clean the bathroom. I think I made a little bit of a mistake, all right, because when I mixed that bleach and that ammonia, I nearly passed out because the mixture of bleach and ammonia creates sort of a toxic environment. And so gases began to formulate in the bathroom, and so I had to get out of there in a hurry. And I want you to know that when you mix the wrong emotions in a relationship, you're generally going to get something very toxic. And I think one of the main things you want to do to avoid argument is to not invest in bringing negative energy into the environment. You see, your relationship needs to be more like a thermostat rather than a thermometer. You see, a thermometer is something that evaluates or at least gauges the outside temperature. You can't change that. But when you're on the inside and you want to change the environment on the inside, you can adjust and modify that thermostat to get the kind of climate and condition you really want. So you can get the kind of climate and condition you want in your relationship if you determine I'm going to bring a positive environment involved in my relationship. And even though the other person might be operating toxic, you can bring your loving kindness, you can bring joy, you can bring a good attitude. And if they want to go off, let them go off by themselves. But you don't have to join the party, okay? You don't have to get involved in spreading or sharing in negative energy. Eventually, the person will realize you're not going there with them. And so eventually they will settle down. And if they don't settle down, usually it's going to be them looking bad and not you. The next thing is to realize that you want to put your energy in what you value. All right? Whatever you value in that environment, in that relationship, that's what you put forth. Sometimes individuals who argue a lot, they're not putting their best foot forward. And so what you want to do is put good energy in all the areas that you really value. If it's affection, then you want to make sure that there's good energy, that you're loving, that you're kissing, that you're hugging all the time. Time, in the area of time, you want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to spend with your spouse so you guys can communicate, so you can talk a little bit more. The next thing is even in terms of your sexuality. You want to be able to know or at least find out, what does the other person want? What does my spouse really want from me sexually? And also, do I have the goods to deliver? If not, there's nothing wrong with you getting some information and some education. Don't go on what your ancestors did, basically by keeping discussions about sexuality totally off limits. No, talk about everything. Also, about the money. Most couples argue about money because they don't really have a good grip on how money needs to be handled. And so one of you needs to take the initiative to get as much information on good spending habits, and whoever has the greater capacity to utilize those habits should be the one to manage the money. There's no such thing as the man has to manage the money or the wife has to manage the money. It's whoever does a particular thing best and it's going to allow you to have more money to work with, then that's what you get. All right. Another thing, what are your values like spiritually? All right. If you're arguing about whether you're going to go to church or not go to church, whether you're going to pray or not pray, I think you need to reassess your values in those areas also to make sure that they can line up with your spouse. Also, in terms of your friendship, friends do things together. They go places together. They spend a lot of time in each other's presence. And so if you're so busy trying to make a career or complete school or spend time with the children and you don't have any time set aside to really spend with your spouse, you're going to argue about things that you probably wouldn't even argue about if you spent more time together. And then also in terms of responsibility, couples argue about who didn't do this and who didn't do that. I think we should be accountable, and I think you should be accountable to your spouse. Do what you say you were going to do. If you said you were going to do it, then you ought to do it. Okay? And also apologize for the things that you didn't do right. If you learn to apologize a little bit more, you'd get a whole lot more of cooperation from your spouse because they know when you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And don't try to cover it up by giving some lame alibi. No, just apologize and do what you said you were going to do. And finally, you want to be able to strengthen your intimacy. All right? How do you strengthen your intimacy? Share more of your thoughts and your feelings. And one writer said, intimacy is like intimacy. That is, you need to give some daily feedback on what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and that way you lend the support of your spouse. Okay? Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the book here, My Lover, My Friend. It's on sale on Amazon.com. So please go to Amazon and get this book. I'd like to get your review as well. Okay? It's a great book. It's an excellent book. You'll love this book, My Lover, My Friend. You can also go to my website, bruceriley.com. All right, this is Dr. Bruce, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.